Wow. A review of body electronics. Wow, where do I start? So if you're not going to watch this whole testimonial, let me just get to the end and tell you absolutely do this. Definitely don't continue waiting. There's things to be scared about, there's money to talk about, so forth. If you can do it, do it. Everybody left Cynthia's body electronics event saying how much of an absolute game changer, life altering event this was. So, now for my story. I got introduced to the concept of body electronics in 2021, reading the Conscious Language book. It was just really interesting, the way body electronics was described in the very first part of the book. And that's not the purpose of the book, right? If you read the book, you'll know that. So I did some hunting and found a person to research. They were reach out to. They were in the UK. Sent me back to Robert Stevens, and there was no body electronics events that he was doing at the time. So fast forward to 4.5 years later, now September 2025, where I got to go to my first event. I had a little idea what to expect. Yes, I knew, you're laying on a table. Yes, I understood people touch you in different spots on your body and so forth. But beyond the physicality of it, I really didn't understand what the whole journey would be like. And I really didn't understand how a person, what is the physical nature of it, both for what's called holding points, where you're surrounding the person on the table and being on the table. So that was just super interesting for me to finally experience both sides of that. So I'll give you some things about me. And for the longest time that I can remember, and I don't even know really honestly how long this has been a thing, that I would have this really racing feeling in my upper chest. And maybe it's anxiety. I really don't know what term to call it. Doesn't really matter. And I would take a lot of deep sighing breaths throughout the day to calm myself and to just kind of release some of that energy. Never went away all the way, and always would come back. And adding to that, a completely different situation, which was in May of 2023, I had a heart attack. And that was obviously a really big deal. And when I left the hospital, I found myself being able to tap into an incredible amount of grief, where essentially I would be able to cry just on tap. I mean, anything I could connect to emotionally, I would be crying. I would feel that grief, overwhelming grief. Nothing that I could consciously link to. Again, it was just a thing. I had a heart attack. Different things would happen. Sometimes I would talk about it and would cry. Sometimes it's not an issue. Sometimes things that would happen, or I would connect with a situation, and I would feel that grief. Anyways, a couple of Lego pieces going into the body electronics event. So we're asked, there's all this amazing prep time getting into the event. So, you work with your group, you work with your cohort. So you have some understanding of what's going on in their lives and your lives. And it's a very intimate experience, obviously, and super, in a really safe space, super easy for me to do that. And I appreciated being there virtually with my cohort before the event, and then there in person. Amazing. And so finally I get my turn. And it was I think the second one, I think they called it endocrine one. It was where they tap into these points back here is one of many different points. But literally, as soon as they call it, as soon as I got tapped into, if you could say, I had this complete grief takeover, and I cried for an hour and a half, maybe straight. So not only did I go through the whole process on the table, when I get off the table, I cried again and again and again and again. And like I shared with you, I didn't have a conscious, there's nothing I could link to and say, this is the reason that I have so much grief. And it was not the heart attack. I don't believe it was a heart attack. It is what it is. I don't necessarily know, and nor does it really matter for me right now. What I do know is that when I left this event, everything was different. I am different. I'm able to go throughout my day in very, very chaotic situations that normally I would have that feeling in my chest skyrocketing, calm. Our family, we bought a travel trailer. We actually went to the BE event in a travel trailer that we drove from Texas. And that was a extremely nerve-wracking experience, driving this big trailer for the first time from Dallas to I think Provo, to Utah, to Orem, Utah. And anyways, so very stressed out. I can't even put the words, as I'm pondering these words here to share with you, there was so much stress in the vehicle. Man, I left the event, same drive, same vehicle, arguably even more crazy, as we went all the way through the Grand Tetons, all the way to Oregon, and then back down to ultimately New Mexico, or to Phoenix, actually. And wow, I was able to drive all of that with none of that stress and anxiety. I was able to work in the travel trailer with my two little boys, with my wife, tiny little thing, and I was able to deal with all the chaos, with all that anxiety and stress showing back up. And even today, I can be in a very, very, typically what would have in the past really stressed me out and really got my insides running crazy. I'm able to now be in them and not have that level of internal body craziness that I was going through. And I know the grief aspect is not gone, and yet it doesn't show up in the same way it was showing up before. Really fascinating. So the system works, the process works. There are absolutely noticeable differences that you can take home immediately, that will change your life immediately. And the best part is that what comes up is what comes up. You go through the process, things happen, and you don't have to necessarily know why. You may not even have that, they may not be the things that you thought you're going to work on. And if you're open to the experience, you can save yourself so much misery and hassle and heartache by just going and getting it done and being part of the process and going through this process, showing up 100% all in to experience what's best for you. At the end of the day, this will save you a massive amount of grief, hassle, heartache, so forth, as you read this book and ponder that and go to that seminar. And at the end of the day, your body needs the help. The body needs a reset. The body needs the connections that happen there at the Body Electronics event with the people that you're with, for you to move through that experience in a way that actually makes a meaningful difference. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. And luckily, I still have my heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. And I know there's another layer, and probably another layer, that I can continue to shed the BS that is around, that I carry with me, allowing me to move forward in even more confidence, more internal peace, more every of the amazing things. So again, if you actually made it this far, what are you waiting for? Hit the button, do whatever Cynthia is wanting you to do to get started. Don't overthink it. Don't be scared. And trust your heart, trust your body. You will go through it. And as weird as it sounds to have all of this, it's not. It is just what it is. It's not a problem. It's not crazy. You lay on the table. You're so intimate with everybody else. And it's really a blessing to be there for other individuals and helping them. And at the same time, for them to pour so much energy and love into you. So I am very excited. Hopefully I can be there with you. If you have any questions, please reach out however way you can through Cynthia. I'd be happy to share anything from my experience that may help you. And what are you waiting for?